Daryl and Marcia, I wanted to extend my greatest thanks to you for this incredible trip that you put together for us and the boys coming down to New Orleans. It was the trip of a lifetime. I know if we would have planned it, it would have been a great trip anyways, but you all provided us some incredible opportunity that we would have never been able to achieve otherwise. Being able to play in your hotel with the finest musicians in New Orleans made a huge difference with the boys. They were able to take their playing from a level that was pretty good, but to add in that authenticity was absolutely incredible. For you to get us that private tour of Loyola and to work with their jazz department, we weren't able to work that out on our own, but seeing them take that knowledge from their performance at the hotel and play that at Loyola for their jazz faculty, and then for them to make it even better, those sort of opportunities are absolutely priceless. And although the kids might not know it now, it's really influencing them, and they'll take that later into their lives and influence other people and other musicians, students we have here at the school. So I just wanted to extend my thanks to you all for the trip of a lifetime. We really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Mr. Berger and Ms. Boyer, thank you so much for everything you did for us on the New Orleans trip. We had an absolutely phenomenal time. I mean, from playing in the polo club with Charles and Tim, that was one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. And I've gotten, a matter of 4 days, I've gotten better than maybe all the practice I've done this year.
Yeah, just like you said, we did a lot of playing, but we also did a lot of listening. And we went to some great jazz clubs. We went to Preservation Hall, where I saw the best jazz I've ever seen in my life. It was better than any recording I've ever listened to, and I learned a lot from that experience, which made me want to pursue jazz even further. I feel like this trip really brought the essence of New Orleans and inspired me, because I'm actually going to college down there, and just getting a taste of what the culture was, and what especially the music culture, it really inspired me to help my peers with encouraging them to practice, or helping them out with musical theory. It's just all around, it inspired me to pursue jazz even further. And I just like to thank Miss Boyer and Mr. Berger for that, really.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This New Orleans trip was absolutely incredible. We had such a great time and learned so much. And playing at the Windsor Court with those musicians, Tim Laughlin and Charles Moore, that was really just an inspiration to me, and just makes me want to get a lot better at my instrument and become a better musician, and maybe keep playing after high school and through college. And it was a really great time.
My personal favorite moment was probably Preservation Hall. Seeing a professional trombonist for the first time, Arika Kikuchki, was definitely something special for me. Definitely think back on it for years to come. And another personal moment for me was going to Loyola, because I'll be attending Tulane next year, and seeing Loyola's recording studios was really important for me, and definitely reaffirmed that I want to do either like a major or minor in that kind of music direction. Thank you, Mr. Berger.
Thank you, Mr. Berger, and thank you, Miss Boyer, and thank you to the Pat Patrick family.
On the Pat Patrick trip, the most influential thing for me was seeing multiple groups, or all the different groups we saw, play New Orleans jazz, and like their different takes on it. A lot of the stuff they play is like more like the 60s and 70s stuff that we played.
All those old styles of music, they were amazing to watch. You know, some stuff we never really played before. And also the energy that they really gave off was amazing. You know, I never thought you could get so hectic, but in a good way, you know what I mean? So it was amazing to see, and especially people like Dorian Kitchens, Shannon Powell at the Preservation Jazz Hall. It was amazing to see. And we'd like to thank Mr. Berger, the Pat Patrick Fund, everyone who was involved in this. They really made it special for us. It was a great time.
This trip was very exciting for me, very inspirational. We saw a lot of music. It was everywhere in New Orleans. It was on the streets. There were clubs that we went to, and everything was good. Everything was great. My favorite experience, honestly, was at Preservation Hall. Those were probably some of the best musicians I've ever seen play. During this trip, we got to play a lot, which helped me refine my skills in like New Orleans Dixieland jazz. But we also learned like we also learned new styles of music like Zydeco and sloppy New Orleans funk, and some fun styles that we can push and pull the time and mess with and jam on with other musicians. And this trip really inspired me to perform more and play more music in general.
I would personally like to thank Mr. Berger and Ms. Boyer because this was my first ever time in New Orleans, and I did not know what to expect at all. I had no idea what we would be encountering or anything we would be doing, and just the amount of sheer activities that were planned into each days and the experiences which we got, including the food and the music which we saw, really just gave me a great experience, and I just overall had an amazing time. Visiting Preservation Hall just inspired me to play and practice more. It got me more interested in music, seeing all the different venues and being able to eat at such great restaurants and to really see the culture in New Orleans and see the way New Orleans is just built up was just so amazing for me, and I really enjoyed the trip. Thank you so much.
Hi, Daryl. Hi, Marcia. I wanted to take a minute to thank you so much for the time and the generosity that you showed to Jordan and me and our students. When we went to Preservation Hall and there was somebody waiting at the gate for us, they felt like royalty when we got to go in and go all the way to the back where no one else gets to go. Spending some time talking to the Preservation Hall musicians before they performed was so important for our guys because they got to ask them, how do you create a solo? How do you know what to do? How do you make your choices? How much do you practice? What do you practice? And those guys were so patient and great with them, and they couldn't wait to get their horns in their hands and start practicing after meeting those guys and talking to them and then hearing them play. They were just awed and wowed, and to get to sit up front right at their feet was amazing to experience. And then when we finished our evening eating beignets, of course, we capped our night off talking about how much we loved the performance. So I really appreciate you spending your time and pulling strings with your friends to get us into that performance.
From Music City to the Big Easy.
Thank you.